The journey through the first month of a baby's life represents one of the most remarkable periods of human development. Parents watching their newborn transform from a tiny, delicate being into a more alert and responsive infant witness changes that seem to occur almost overnight. Understanding what to expect during this critical first month helps parents recognize normal development patterns while also identifying when to seek guidance from pediatric healthcare providers. At 1 month old, babies have typically moved beyond the immediate newborn stage and begun establishing more predictable patterns of behavior and response to their environment. The transformation that occurs during these first 4 weeks is nothing short of extraordinary, with babies making significant strides in physical coordination, sensory awareness, and social engagement. Parents who felt overwhelmed during the first few days at home often report feeling more confident and comfortable as they approach the 1-month milestone, having learned to interpret their baby's cries and understand their unique personality. Physical development during the first month centers primarily on strengthening muscles and gaining better control over reflexive movements. At birth, babies possess limited voluntary control over their bodies, with most actions driven by primitive reflexes that have helped ensure survival throughout human evolution. By the end of the first month, however, these reflexes begin giving way to more purposeful movements. Parents may notice their baby starting to lift their head briefly when placed on their stomach during supervised tummy time, an important developmental milestone that builds the neck and upper body strength necessary for later milestones like rolling over and sitting up. The average 1-month-old baby gains approximately 2 pounds during their first month of life, though this varies considerably among individual infants. Pediatricians carefully monitor weight gain at well-child visits, ensuring babies receive adequate nutrition and grow at healthy rates. Some babies may gain more or less than this average while still developing perfectly normally, which is why doctors evaluate growth patterns over time rather than fixating on any single measurement. Parents should expect their baby to surpass their birth weight by around 2 weeks of age, having initially lost up to 10% of their birth weight in the first few days after delivery. Sleep patterns during the first month remain unpredictable and demanding for parents, with most 1-month-old babies sleeping 14 to 17 hours over each 24-hour period. However, this sleep comes in short bursts rather than consolidated stretches, with babies typically waking every 2 to 3 hours to feed throughout both day and night. The biological necessity of frequent feeding means that parents should not expect their 1-month-old to sleep through the night, despite well-meaning advice from friends or family members suggesting otherwise. Establishing consistent bedtime routines and creating calm sleep environments helps babies gradually adapt to day and night rhythms, though true sleep consolidation generally does not occur until babies reach 3 to 4 months of age. Feeding occupies much of a 1-month-old baby's time and energy, with breastfed babies typically nursing every 2 to 3 hours, while formula-fed babies may stretch feedings to every 3 to 4 hours. Parents should follow their baby's hunger cues rather than attempting to impose rigid feeding schedules, as babies at this age need to eat frequently to support their rapid growth and brain development. Breastfeeding mothers may find that nursing becomes easier and more comfortable by 1 month as both mother and baby gain experience and confidence with the process. Formula-fed babies may settle into more predictable feeding patterns, consuming 2 to 4 ounces per feeding depending on their size and appetite. Sensory development advances significantly during the first month, with babies becoming increasingly aware of their surroundings and responsive to stimulation. Vision at 1 month remains somewhat limited, with babies able to focus most clearly on objects approximately 8 to 12 inches from their faces, roughly the distance between a parent's face and the baby during feeding or cuddling. Babies at this age can track moving objects with their eyes, following a rattle or toy as it moves slowly across their field of vision. They show preference for high contrast patterns in black and white or bold colors, which is why many baby toys feature these stark visual elements. Hearing capabilities are well developed at 1 month, with babies turning their heads toward familiar voices and becoming startled by unexpected loud sounds. Parents often notice their baby calming when they hear a familiar voice, or the sound of a parent's heartbeat, reflecting the comfort babies derive from recognizing sounds they heard while still in the womb. Talking to your baby frequently throughout the day supports language development, even though they cannot yet understand words or respond verbally. The neural pathways being formed during these early conversations lay the foundation for later language acquisition and communication skills. The sense of touch provides crucial information about the world for 1-month-old babies, who experience their environment largely through physical contact with caregivers. Skin-to-skin contact promotes bonding and helps regulate the baby's temperature, heart rate, and stress levels. Gentle massage can soothe fussy babies while also helping parents connect with their infant through loving touch. Swaddling remains popular at this age as it mimics the snug feeling babies experienced in the womb, though parents should ensure babies are not swaddled too tightly and that the practice is discontinued once babies show signs of attempting to roll over. Reflexes that were prominent at birth continue to dominate much of a 1-month-old baby's behavior, though some reflexes begin to fade during this period. The rooting reflex, which causes babies to turn their head and open their mouth when their cheek is stroked, helps newborns find the breast or bottle for feeding. The sucking reflex enables effective feeding, while the grasp reflex causes babies to close their fingers around objects placed in their palms. The startle reflex, also called the Moro reflex, causes babies to throw out their arms and legs when surprised or when they feel they are falling. This reflex typically begins disappearing around 2 months of age as babies gain better control over their movements. Social and emotional development during the first month centers on forming attachments with primary caregivers and beginning to recognize familiar faces and voices. While 1-month-old babies do not yet produce the social smiles that emerge around 6 to 8 weeks of age, they are studying faces intently and learning to associate specific people with comfort and care. Parents who respond consistently to their baby's needs during this period help establish secure attachment bonds that provide a foundation for healthy emotional development throughout childhood. The crying that dominates communication at this age gradually becomes more differentiated, with parents learning to distinguish cries indicating hunger from those signaling discomfort or fatigue. Crying serves as the primary means of communication for 1-month-old babies, who cry an average of 2 to 3 hours per day, though this varies widely among individual infants. Some babies cry much more than average, without any underlying medical issue, a condition called colic that affects approximately 20% of babies. Colicky babies cry intensely for extended periods, often in the late afternoon or evening, drawing their legs up to their bellies and appearing deeply distressed despite parents' best efforts to console them. While colic is distressing for both babies and parents, it typically resolves on its own by 3 to 4 months of age and does not indicate any long-term developmental problems. Tummy time represents one of the most important activities parents can provide for their 1-month-old baby, as it builds the strength and coordination necessary for later motor milestones. Starting with just 1 to 2 minutes several times per day and gradually increasing duration as the baby becomes more comfortable, tummy time encourages babies to lift their heads and eventually push up on their arms. Some babies resist tummy time initially, but persistence combined with encouragement and interaction helps most babies learn to tolerate and eventually enjoy time on their stomachs. Always supervise tummy time closely and never leave a baby unattended on their stomach, placing them on their backs for all sleep to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome. Cognitive development during the first month involves babies beginning to make simple associations between their actions and outcomes, though true cause and effect understanding remains months away. A 1-month-old baby may accidentally bring their hand to their mouth and experience the soothing sensation of sucking, gradually learning to repeat this action more deliberately over the coming weeks. Babies at this age are absorbing enormous amounts of information about their environment, even though they cannot yet act upon that knowledge in sophisticated ways. Every interaction with caregivers, every sensation experienced, and every sound heard contributes to the complex neural connections forming rapidly during this critical developmental period. Healthcare providers use specific developmental milestones to assess whether babies are progressing typically during the first month of life. By 1 month, most babies should be able to bring their hands to their mouths, occasionally move their heads from side to side when lying on their stomachs, and demonstrate brief moments of head control when held upright against a caregiver's shoulder. Babies should show some response to sounds, either by startling, quieting, or turning toward the sound source. They should make eye contact with caregivers and show some ability to focus on faces held close to them. Any concerns about developmental progress should be discussed with a pediatrician who can determine whether observed delays warrant further evaluation or early intervention services. Parents caring for 1-month-old babies often feel exhausted from the constant demands of newborn care, which is completely normal and expected. The frequent night wakings, endless feedings, and unpredictable crying can leave even the most devoted parents feeling overwhelmed and questioning their abilities. Building a support network of family members, friends, or community resources helps parents manage the intense demands of caring for a newborn while also taking care of their own physical and mental health. Accepting help with household tasks, taking turns with night feedings when possible, and giving yourself permission to feel overwhelmed at times allows parents to be more present and patient with their babies. The first month of a baby's life concludes with most families feeling more confident in their caregiving abilities and more connected to their new addition. While challenges certainly remain and development continues at a rapid pace, the foundation established during this first month provides crucial support for all the growth and learning that lies ahead. Understanding typical developmental milestones for 1-month-old babies helps parents appreciate the remarkable changes occurring during this period, while also recognizing when professional guidance might be beneficial. Every baby develops at their own pace within a range of normal variation, making patience and individualized attention key components of supporting healthy infant development.